Hey, thanks for checking out this video on Open. Before you jump into the video, a little bit of an update. I made this video earlier in the day. Now it's later in the day at the end of the day, and Open right now is sitting around 10:52. So a little preface to what you're about to watch. I mentioned a lot in the video about what I want to see from Open, and now we're tapping just below my next price target here, my next LOI of 1075. High a day was 1070. So we got a little bit hotter than I anticipated, which you'll hear me talk about in the video. So stay tuned for that. But everything else remains true. In fact, I would be a little bit more careful because we went a little bit further than expected today. So keep that in mind as you watch the video. Stay tuned and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks. This is Open, and obviously overnight, big move, and currently as the market's open, we're up about 55% on Open. Just a short little while ago, this stock was 50 cents, believe it or not, and it is on a moon trip right now. Now, this is a pure definition of riding your EMAs. So if you use EMAs to trade with, you've been riding the 8, the 13, and the 21 all the way up. Nice little gap and a push here off of some news in regards to the new CEO appointment. And that typically, when you get a C-suite change, if the market likes it, you get a reaction like this. And it's a pretty solid reaction. Now, if you're not familiar with Open, I'm sure a lot of you are, but this is a mortgage company that's trying to do like an e-commerce platform that helps with residential real estate transactions. I'm just reading off here to summarize. But they're essentially building a technology platform for real estate that offers buyers and sellers basically like more of a hands-on, on-demand experience, I guess. So that's kind of like the backstory behind Open or what their business is. Now, this company is currently trading at a $7 billion market cap. You're seeing a lot of hype around it, and it's a fairly big company to be moving this much, all things considered. Now, obviously at 50 cents, much smaller company, but fairly big company to be moving this much. Now, all these levels I have mapped out here for you are what you should consider if you are long on Open. Not to be confused with this strong parabolic move to the upside here. You may want to, if you're long on Open, at least move up stops or be a little bit more risk managed, because this is a hard move and you don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth and lose a lot of potential money you could have made on this name, especially in such a short period of time. Especially if you're an options trader, the IV on these contracts is hot. Your implied volatility right now is 176%. And your IV percentile is 85%. So that means only 15% of the time in the last rolling 52 weeks was IV lower on this name. So if you don't know what that means, if you're buying to open options, so you're buying calls or you're buying puts, you are 85% of the time for the last year overpaying for those options. So be very mindful of that. Now, on the flip side of things, if you're a seller, so you want to sell calls or sell puts, this is a great environment to do so because you're going to gather extra premium due to that high IV. If you're a newer trader, you're trying to get caught up in the meme and everything, I would just be very cautious if you're trading options. If you don't know what you're doing, because you will overpay on these options and be very upset, even if you think it moves in your direction, right? You buy call, stock goes up, I should make money. Buy put, stock goes down, I should make money. It may not happen that way due to how high the IV is. So please make sure you understand these risks if you are taking any trades on Open in regards to options. Now, I mapped out these LOIs for you guys to see where the potential really lies on Open. And as I said before, continuously riding basically these short-term EMAs, this light blue line, the green line, and the pink line on my chart here, your 8, your 13, and your 21 EMA, essentially just riding the wave all the way up. We've got a few more LOIs that I'm keeping an eye on here. So today we actually tapped and rejected to the penny. Nice little pat on the back here for me. But we tapped and rejected that first LOI at 8:14 right here at 9:37 a.m. Came back down, back tested again. That cluster of EMAs, shot through it with a nice strong candle there on some decent volume, back tested and built a little bit of a base there for about 4 or 5 minutes. Had a nice little rally here. And now you got essentially clear skies until 1075. Now, with that being said, again, you're already up 50%. So stay realistic in your head on how realistic that is to happen necessarily today, tomorrow, etc., where it may want to come down and reaffirm this 814 level as an area of now support and no longer resistance. If I was a trader on Open near term, I would want to see this 814 area kind of hold. that allows these EMAs to catch up. It allows the chart to cool down on the short term before legging up again and getting in between this 1075, 1344 range. So be very, very mindful of that if you are interested in the risk that Open presents. And you can even see, as I'm talking about it live right now, we were up at like what, 910, 925, shot down already about 50 cents, which is a very big move for this stock. So you have to be very, very careful if you don't know what you're doing on higher volume, left a wick behind. You want to be very careful. I don't hate a long here if you're holding 814, but I would want to wait for a period of consolidation around this area before getting another potential leg up. Now, this also wouldn't be a name that I'd be running to short. As long as the trend stays intact here, meaning we're above all these EMAs, I wouldn't necessarily look to short this name. You've got a lot of retail involvement, a lot of potential. You just continuously squeeze and gamma ramp over and over and over and over as new news or anything comes out that excites retail. I will say, though, it will be a little bit harder to move this name as time goes on because the market cap theoretically will get bigger and bigger and bigger. So that short squeeze to what some people are like, oh, it's going to go to 90. Highly unrealistic. I'm seeing some of the same rhetoric what we saw where GameStop was going to go to 500 million or whatever ridiculous price. Be realistic. I'm not trying to stop you out of your goals or anything like that, but understand that this move here, let's just take a quick, we'll even go realistically from 180 to now. That's a 400% gain between 180 to today's price. It's a very large gain for any stock. To put that in perspective, that's like looking at Nvidia right now at roughly $200 and saying Nvidia is now 1,000, right? That's a big move, or 800, whatever it is. Either way, that's a really big move, right? So you want to, it's a very easy to get caught up with cheaper dollar stocks and how much they're moving percentage-wise. So you want to at least level yourself and ground yourself that it doesn't necessarily mean this is a bad option, but that doesn't mean you should be riskless. Now, if you've already longed the stock and you want to know, like, okay, so you said I should maybe consider being a little defensive or at least not getting too hype on it, where should I realistically set my expectations? Well, like I said, as long as we're holding this trend here, you can use these EMAs. Very simple. Some stocks just ride the EMAs very cleanly, very simply. This is one of those names where it's going to ride the 8, 13, and 21. You could leave a trailing stop underneath your 21 EMA and just let it go. I think what we're going to see near term is a consolidation around 814, might even come under it a little bit, allowing the short-term trend to catch up before trying to get another leg up again. So especially if you're buying options right now, you're more than likely going to have a bad time unless you're on the sell side of things, unless we see strong volume just take over. You break the high a day with really, really, really strong volume and continue moving. But as it sits right now, I would lean towards being a little bit more defensive on Open. Again, not bearish. What I like to do on this channel in general is focus on where risk should be on and risk should be off, not necessarily if things are bullish or bearish. As I've alluded to here, the trend here is bullish, but it's a matter of being a little bit more risk off and being a little bit careful here, allowing things to cool before getting another stab at it. So if you weren't long yesterday and you want to get long today, maybe just wait a day or two. And you probably thank yourself, you get a little bit of a better entry, allow this move to cool off. And hey, if you miss it, guess what? Money you missed is fine, right? But you didn't lose it. You didn't make a dumb decision. So let things cool off. And I think there is still opportunity here on Open if you're patient with managed risk, allowing time for this to cool off after it doubled overnight, right? Or, you know, it not doubled, but went up 50% overnight. That's a really big move. That's got to cool. That's got to relax a little bit before there is another leg, at least in my opinion. So that's my thoughts on Open. Hopefully that helps you guys out.